Welcome back to Inspired or Acquired. This is a podcast where we interview real business owners, talk real numbers, and ask them whether or not they would sell their company. So today we're joined by Jesus Montelongo from Longhill Contracting in Denver, and excited to dig in with him. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host Clint Fiore, business broker out of Texas. So Jesus, how are you, man? It's good to see you.
I'm doing good. Thanks again for having me on your podcast. Things are good here in Denver.
Good to see you. Well, for folks who don't know about your business, tell us what is Longhill, and what kind of work do you guys do, and who are your clients?
So Longhill Contracting is a drywall company primarily, and we're based out of here in Denver, Colorado. And, our clients are mostly all new construction builders and some multifamily and commercial builders.
Nice. So all that new construction happening throughout Colorado, they pull you guys in to do the drywall and paint, and then because you're awesome and reliable, they also say, hey, can you do fencing? Can you do concrete? Can you do all this other stuff too, right?
Depending on what client you're talking to and the relationship, some don't hesitate to ask, hey, can you do a little bit more? So you kind of have to pump the brakes a little bit and say no, we're gonna stick to this, So, but because of our relationships and the work that we've been able to do, we've gone from as primarily a drywall company, and ventured into painting, wood fences, and a little bit of wood framing as well.
Thanks for coming on the show, Jesus. I've been excited to talk to you. I just saw from our notes you're doing phenomenal numbers, growing quickly, and you haven't done any acquisitions yet. You've looked at one you told us about, but haven't done one yet. So just take me through high level, how long have you been doing this? And who owns this company? Do you have any partners, or is it all you, or what's the cap table look like, the ownership look like?
I started this company about 7.5 years ago, a little bit over 7.5 years ago. We'll actually be turning 8 years here in December. So I didn't even realize it until a couple of days ago. I thought we were on our 7th year, and we started doing the math. I was like, on a 8. This was a company started by myself. Obviously with the support of my family, my wife, right, primarily. As far as a capital investment, it's basically me that started the company. And we've had great success. We have rapid growth over the last 7.5 years, like I said. And it's been a phenomenal ride. We haven't had any acquisitions, but high level is, I want to see how far I can get, right? I think we have a full team at this point where, we can start looking at acquisitions and some more inorganic growth, right? Because this has all been, just word of mouth, just acquiring new clients through sales. Right? And so I think we're at a point that, we hired a controller 3 years ago. But since then we've placed them, but we're in a good spot where I've built up the accounting team with a good controller now. That going for us. We've built up the field supervision to a point that, probably have easily over 100 years of experience between all of them, right?
How many total people are on your team now?
So we use a variety of staff, right? So primarily W-2 employees or direct employees. We have about 25.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's composed from our accounting team and our supervision team, and then some other direct laborers we use up.
Awesome. Were you working in this industry for a while before you went out on your own, or how did you make that jump 7, 8 years ago?
No, it's funny how this all came about, but prior to this, I was in banking, retail banking. And then, I started doing some fix and flips back then. And essentially I started this company for cash flow, right? So flipping business, you buy a house, you remodel it, you don't really get a paycheck until like 6-8 months from the purchase, right? After you sell. And so, I have a wife and I have 3 kids now, 2 kids at the time. And so I just couldn't, really live without a paycheck. So flipping homes was really what triggered me to just jump on board and just fully, owning a company. And I was doing it for cash, right? Like, yeah, I was like, hey, we're going to work, we're going to get paid fast, which doesn't always really happen, right? So I started the company at the end of 2016. Our first revenue year was 2017. And it spiraled pretty out of control right away, right? Our sales grew drastically year over year. From like $500,000 in revenue in 2017, and we did $3.5 million the year after that. And then it basically doubled every year.
What's the revenue been like the last few years? Like, what's your trend been?
This year, we're going to be hitting a record year. We're tracking to be between 22 to 22. So either one will be, record breaking for the company. A couple of years ago, we were at 21 million. Last year, we actually dipped. We went down to 16. Yes, a little bit over $16 million revenue. The only difference is, we had to take a little bit of a step back as a company. The company did suffer some losses 3 years ago at 21 million. And so we had to make some changes, right? And one of those things, it was hard for us to do, hard for me to make that choice, but we had to kind of like settle down on the sales, restructure it internally, look at what we were doing wrong, and go a lot of learning lessons right from there. But restructure, we had some internal movements here and there, and we structured it.
Yeah.
Came back last year, we did less than revenue, but we were profitable. And then, now we're here and we're trying.
2021 was an interesting year in this business for everybody across the country. Building, construction, remodeling, all that was just going crazy with demand, but prices were really high on your materials, and it was, supply chain issues and backlogged work. And so it doesn't surprise me that you had a record year and had a little bit of a drop and had a bunch of structural changes you had to deal with in that like 20, 21, 22 window. Sounds like you had to deal with a lot of people had to deal with at that time. So that's really understandable. It sounds like you're, got your fundamentals more in line now, and you're back to growth and about to have another record year in 24. So that's awesome to hear. Colorado's a great state to be building in. I mean, it's like insatiable demand and growth. I used to live there, and I saw it happening when I was there, 15, 20 years ago. And it's still, it seems like every year it's just more and more people want to move there. So, so that's cool. Do you got any debt on the company? Like, what's your debt situation?
2021, that's the first time that we actually went out and borrowed money from the bank. So prior to that, it was all, went from, just cash that I had. That's how I started the company 7.5 years ago. And in 2021, we closed on a line of credit for working capital. And that's kind of what made everything go spiral out of control. So we dealt with the bank. And then in 2022, it went from the line of credit and it got converted into just a loan, right? Mm-hmm. And so right now we have close to $2 million in debt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not including obviously, right, the building that the company. So just it's secure with our AR, but I'd like to call it unsecured, right? There's no real estate attached to it.
Hey guys, wanted to take a quick break from the show just to tell you about our companies for a second. I'm Patrick Dichter and I own Apple Tree Business Services. We do quality accounting and tax nationwide. So if you're running a business or looking to buy a business, we'd love to help you out with accounting and tax services. You can find us at appletreebusiness.com. And Clint, tell us about Bison Business.
Yeah, Bison Business is my firm. We do nationwide M&A. So we help people buy and sell companies. Most of our customers have companies in the 1 to 20 million revenue range, profitable businesses. So if you've got one and you're ready to get acquired, you can reach out to us at bisonbusiness.com for a complimentary evaluation. We can get you to market and get you sold. If you're a listener that's a buyer that wants to buy a company that size, make sure you're on our email list, because we'll send you out deals first before they hit the market anywhere else. But we'd love to serve you anytime you're thinking of acquiring or selling your business. We want to be your first stop at Bison Business.
Awesome. Now back to the show.
Yeah, and we talked kind of in our show notes here that you're typically seeing like an EBITDA margin of like 12% or so. So that on years where you're doing close to 20 million or more, you're probably clearing over 2 in adjusted earnings or EBITDA. And so I feel like you're in a very strong financial position here. And I feel like you've got your margins, dialed in a lot better, it sounds like, in recent years.
Right.
I guess, so this is a kind of a tough, these subcontractor businesses that are tied to new construction, they're a little challenging to sell. Like, I get called by folks in your position. I think that you've got some big advantages here with your scale that you've got and your growth rate that you've got. It sounds like you got a great team and you're doing a lot of the fundamentals right. So I feel like you could sell your business. When you were, certain years back along your growth curve, it would have been a lot more challenging. But I think you've got, it sounds like you've been doing the right things to work on your business and create something that could be transferable to someone else. And so what a lot of times that happens is, like, if you were to come to me and say, "Hey, Clint, like, I think it's time. I'm ready to do something else for some reason or another. And like, let's go to market and see what we can get here." Like, I would probably set your expectations like somewhere around the 10 million-ish mark on a valuation. And that's like a really wild guess.
Yeah.
But there's kind of a big asterisk here. Because I think in this size and space, you could get a much better deal depending on how you are willing to structure it. And so, like, if you're willing to stick around and like tie some of the deals to an earnout, then I think you could have some people that would be more generous with you, but if you're willing to put a little bit of skin in the game on the forward looking performance of the company, you could potentially do better than that. But when I say like 10 million-ish, that would be more like if you were really needing to go do something else and have a relatively short and easy transition. I think it would be, somewhere in that like 7 to 12 range. And then if you had to, if you're willing to stick around and be a partner with someone or sell majority stake, and like, you might be able to do substantially better than that. If you were a part of the future and kind of were part, helping grow and continue to operate the business for the acquiring, company. And so, as someone that just, you were working in banking and, you got this wild hair to start this business and bootstrapped it, even after paying off debt and even after paying off taxes, even if you did 100% sale now, I think you'd come away with a pretty substantial windfall that to a lot of people, that would be pretty life-changing money. Like, are you getting to a scale yet where this crosses your mind, or like where that would tempt you?
No, I don't think so. I think going through, what happened in 2021 and 2022 just completely changed what I could do, especially with the company. So like I said, I went back and looked at, our staff, who we had, what we're doing, how we're doing things, and just adding all this talent to our team. Most of from our supervisor team, except for 2 members, we have a young team. Like, I'm 34, everybody else is young.
Wow.
So like, we have enough like fuel to go out, and everybody's hungry. everybody is working together. I mean, they're all wanting to make a name for themselves. So I think our options are big, and I feel I love where it. So I want to grow. I'm looking at companies environment, see how big I can scale this.
Yeah. So you're young and hungry, having fun. You got some good folks working with you.
Yeah.
And, why mess with a good thing, right? Because you're at that age at 34 years old. And as a guy that's a builder and an ambitious, young guy, like you're going to need something else to do with yourself. And I think it becomes like that math sometimes, right? Or like, I don't know that I can think of something that I would be more successful at than what I'm currently doing.
Right.
Yeah. And so like that becomes a good reason not to sell. And you're doing very well. So take me a little bit into the future though. So like, let's put aside the now conversation for a moment and like fast forward me, let's say 5 years from now. Like when you're thinking like midterm to long-term planning, like where's your company going? And like, what do you think, if things go well and you execute well for the next 3 to 5 years, like where do you think you'll be revenue wise, earnings wise, and what do you think your life looks like at that point?
Yeah, within like 5 years, I mean, the goal would be to be, organic growth around 30 million. We've had a big one of the big shifts that we've had in the last couple of years is, although residential work has been where we started and how we, got about doing business, primarily like in the single family sector, we've grown drastically in our commercial and multifamily. And so, I mean, this year is probably like making 33% of our revenue is multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's one of the reasons why we've had such a big jump in our EBITDA numbers, right? And so, but we're barely tapping into that. I think we could grow that to a bigger scale. I was talking to Patrick about this, and looking at acquiring a smaller company up in the mountains here in Colorado, and the owner is wanting to stay on board with this, and his niche is commercial work and multifamily, and so we roughly we're going to do about $6 million worth of revenue in multifamily this year, and that's with like a part-time estimator in that area. Now having a full-time estimator, they're just looking at that. We're going to be able to. Our goal is to grow it to at least 10 million.
So you want to grow to 30 million revenue and have the multifamily be a bigger percent of your revenue?
Correct.
Why is it more desirable? You can keep multiple crews busy in one site versus.
No, I think that's what we get from the residential, because those are more consistent. We get a development, and they're always rotating houses out, and that keeps it busy. Multifamily, it's kind of like a faster pace, but for a very short period of time, right? So typical multifamily job, again, depending on the size, it's anywhere from 3 to 4 months, and then you're done, right? And then you have to find another one. Hopefully you source them. But that's really where a lot of companies start differentiating from one another. There's a lot more, cash that needs to be put into these projects. So and the terms a little bit less desirable. So that, that's why I wouldn't say there's less competition, but it definitely, sets your company apart from other startups. Let's say.
Okay, so let's say 5 years from now, you've achieved this goal. You're 39. Your little kids are a little bit bigger kids now. You've probably paid off that debt. You might have put away a few more assets, a little bit more money, and you might have a company that's worth 15 to 20, or something like that. At that moment, does that math start changing for you at that point? Or are you thinking like maybe it's time, or like what would, change that math for you? I know you're not interested at 34 at the growth curve you're at, but are you interested at 39 with a bigger check, a bigger number, or what do you think that answer would be?
I mean, with the knowledge that I have now, or what, again, going back through what I've gone through with the company, I still would say I wouldn't want to sell. It might be different if there was like no acquisitions, no bigger ones, right? Because the one that I'm talking about now, it's a very small one. If there's nothing like that, then I probably would consider it. However, like I the whole money situation, like it really hasn't really crossed my mind aside from like revenue. Like I was thinking about numbers in that sense, right? And the bottom line, right? That's just business talk, right? Like you want to have a profitable business, right? And that business that makes sense. But I think it just goes much more than, right? Like then you start thinking about high level things, right? Acquiring a bigger business, how to make that transaction, how to integrate, that acquisition to your business. I do have some thoughts about adding some other business lines that will vertically integrate with our company, and not only help, our margins and our revenue on the drywall side of things, but reciprocate on that side too. And so, it's just much more than just money. It's like what you could do with the business,
Mm-hmm.
how we can scale. I mean,
What business lines interest you?
it's just more. I'm looking at one right now, so that's why I really want to talk about it. But it's one that we always bump heads in multifamily projects, and I think it'd be a big opportunity.
Got it. Cool. One question I'd have for you, I know there was another guest where he had like an accounting business and financial planning, and we asked him like, where do you invest your own money? And he said, my business is the best ROI right now. He's like, I've got people approaching me about real estate deals. I could invest in the market, like for you, do you think of like, okay, let me try to invest in this multifamily development, or let me see if I can, do some short-term lending over there, or let me see if I can, buy fix and flips, or like, are you just like, let me plow it all back into the company and like keep that, snowball rolling?
Yeah, I mean, those are always good things to be investing in. I like real estate. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I got into this, is so that I could get into, grow in real estate. I still do a little bit of it, not a whole lot, because this consumes my time and my energy. But I think I would agree with that other person, is that, one of the biggest reasons why we've had this rapid growth has been because the money really just stays in the company. It's not any profits. They just go back in there to hire talent, to grow, to scale your business. So yeah, I mean, definitely, your business is your biggest ROI, and it should, right? Like that's we should. Yeah.
Or you're talking about vertically integrating. Do you get to the point where you're like, I could be the home developer and like buy land and do the whole thing? Does that cross your mind, or do you still like being a sub?
No, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's just, I make friends with developers, and they've invited me to projects to invest in a project and stuff like that. I have built a couple of homes, so I went from flipping to now, building a full home, right? Like demoing and reconstructing a home. I've done things like that, and you do well, but at the end of the day, like I said, it is good, but sometimes it does take you away from your business too.
Yeah, it's a distraction. But
yeah.
When you guys had those tough years a few years ago, and then you like recalibrated and improved your profitability, like what were the big takeaways? Did you like, was it the way you were estimating and bidding jobs, or was it like an efficiency thing, or like just working with the right type of client? Like what were the one or two key things that you've the
I mean,
scar
it was
tissue
like,
that you've got?
yeah, no, it was a little bit of everything. It was from estimating. At that point we had, I had brought in a few other estimators, not checking them. That at the end of the day, I guess it all comes back to like checks and balances, right? So that was one of the bigger takeaways from this is you're going to hire people, right, to do your job. Some of the functions that you do, you definitely got to train them the right way. But there has to be like a check and balance, right? Making sure that whatever they're doing, there's some way of checking to make sure that the numbers are working, things like that. We did have some price increases. We didn't go back and raise our prices. Collections was another thing. There's some stale change orders that never got paid. And overhead was high. Just, I would say disorganization, right? So there's a lot of processes that were talked about, but never actually came to fruition, right? Then, those were all going to be, going back to losses at the end. So, like I said, this is a year breaking for even our profit margins. So, though in those years they were up much lower. So there's not a whole lot of room for error. So you have to know where you're going. You got to make sure that your whole team isn't, so that you're not having to babysit. So one thing I can say, we have a much different team than we had back then. And that's what's making the biggest difference now.
I get a sense from you, Jesus, that money is not the primary driver of your life, and it's funny because you're crushing it on the growth and you're conversant in the language of finance because you've kind of had to be, and you've had to learn it, as you get into these bigger numbers and all these people answering to you and accounting people answering to you. And I feel like you've done a great job on that front. But something that is kind of funny about our situation, me and Patrick, is like, it's sexy to talk about big dollars and money and valuations and things like that. But the majority of human beings aren't primarily motivated by money. They just aren't. But it's like a popular topic and it's a fun, sexy thing to talk about on podcasts and things like that. And so like, I feel like we've spent almost too much time like in the money side of the spectrum here. And you keep pushing back on me a little bit when I try to tempt you with a big check or hypotheticals. And it's clear, like, you're this isn't, people do business for different reasons. Sometimes it is a means to a financial end. And I don't feel like this is a means to a financial end to you. That's just my gut reaction here. I could be wrong, but tell me, like, what is the thing that gets you like jazzed about what you're doing, and what is inspiring you to say, no, Clint, like that big number doesn't really tempt me right now, and your hypothetical one 5 years out, that still doesn't really tempt me right now. Like what is the thing that makes you say, no, I'm in it to win it. I am inspired, because I'm ready to stamp you inspired for the name of our show. Like, you are inspired to do the long term here, but what is the underlying thing that's like giving you all this energy, giving you all this passion to like resist that temptation of money and stay the course with what your plans are here?
I think it's the challenge, right? So when going through that financial struggle with the company a couple of years ago, I picked up a book, and I always forget the actual name of it, but it's called like the turnaround artistry. I think it's about this real guy. That's what his job is, right? Is to go in there and save the company. He goes in there when they're distressed, finds all the kinks with it, and then they fix it. And then most of the time he's able to turn it around and get it back to profit. I think that's what's it, right? Like, every time there's a new problem, there's a new goal, there's something that you're constantly working on. Now, I don't want to consistently be working on, dumb issues, right? Or issues that shouldn't be there, because that's just a broken company, right? At that. But when I'm looking at business, right, and I'm talking about growth, like that's what I'm looking at. It's like, hey, how do you say my company, another company, piece it together make that work for you and work for the employees, everybody, right? Part of that organization. And that's I'm talking about acquiring another company that puts you another level, right? The strategy, going in there and, those people are already used to their own boss and how they do things. You got to go in there and change the dynamic, show them the reason why it's beneficial for them, for everybody. I like that. I like business. I guess it intrigues me, and I want to learn more about it. And like every time that you talk to a banker, more you grow, the more sophisticated people like yourselves talk to, and then they just have a different perception, and they're like, "Oh, man, like I didn't explore that. Now I can do this, that." That happened when I started working with Patrick years back. I think back then I was just thinking about like, hey, back then I would acknowledge that I was thinking of like, hey, like let's just sell it and then move on to something else. But then you start growing, things change, meet other people. Just get your mind going different directions.
Well, good answer, man. I feel like just recapping, like my read on that statement was you enjoy the game. It's like a game that's, I think a lot of entrepreneurs do see business as like a playing field. It's a game, it's a sport, it's fun. And as long as you're growing and advancing and you're leveling up into the higher leagues and learning new positions to play, like that's still stimulating you, it's still challenging you. You're growing, you're seeing fruit of that growth. And so like if you got a good game going, and you're enjoying those level ups, that you're getting fulfillment from it, and you're getting you're living a good life, not just financially, but like personally, from being able to like learn new stuff, meet new people, go up to new levels, take on new challenges, and do it in a way that keeps you coming back for more. So cool.
And I'll say this: I know Jesus a little bit from before, and he's an amazing servant leader. But he's also I think he's also fired up at teaching other people the game. He's like the Nick Saban coach is going to like teach other people and like help them understand business and like figure out workers' comp and insurance and pricing and the accounting side of it, so that they have more opportunity and they he's teaching them to fish. So it's knowing him. I think that's the other thing that keeps you going and keeps you fired up. But
yeah, like I said, like it's awesome to have like the team that we have right now is, they're all young and they all want to learn and just keep on. It's awesome. It's good.
These other developments you mentioned, I think I owe you. I don't know if I've told you the story, but do you still live in that house on Washington, off near Wash Park? So we were standing there one day in Denver, this like beautiful neighborhood in Denver that everyone wants to live in, Wash Park, and he's building this like amazing custom home for his family. And he told me he bought the house sight unseen. He was traveling, and he just made an offer, and he was like, I felt fine making an offer because like even if it went wrong, like he's like, I have the chops to be able to like fix up the house and flip it if needed. And I was like, damn, I wish I had that unfair advantage, because we wanted to move at the time. I was like, I don't have that in real estate. He has this unfair advantage. And then this light bulb went off. I was like, mine's small business. Like if I can buy a small business, it'd be the same unfair advantage Jesus would have buying a scrape, because he's got like the construction chops. And I was like, ding. That was like when I was like really thinking about buying a business. It was a similar just aha moment for me that I could de-risk it in the way that you like were able to pull it off and build that awesome house, man. So I owe you a thank you for that. But yeah,
it's awesome to hear. Unrealistic.
Yeah. So this has been a fun conversation, and you always fire me up to hear how much you've grown. And for people that can't see you on video, he looks like he's 20, and he's in his mid-30s, just crushing it. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to connect with you online? Is that your website or LinkedIn or Any way that they could reach out?
Yeah, I mean, I have LinkedIn. I don't even know what. I guess just if you search me through my name, first last name. It's Montelongo.
All right.
Up there.
We'll link to it on the website, and excited to hear more about these other acquisitions that you're
That's how you
considering.
know. That's how you know you got a real business owner right there. He didn't come onto a podcast ready to shill a book or a course or anything like that. He's just like, hey guys, I don't know. Just call me if you need me. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. This is a pleasure. So I appreciate it. Yeah,
we'll have to do it again soon, and good luck with those other tuck-ins that you're looking at, and keep crushing it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Thanks for sharing your story with us. Thanks for taking us, behind the curtain a little bit. You got a super inspiring story, Jesus, and 100% inspired, stamping it, done. But man, we love hearing from people like you. Just keep doing what you're doing. You and your crews and everything you're doing. You're just the backbone of this country, and what makes America great. And keep building housing. We need it. We need it everywhere. So appreciate everything you do, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
We'll see you.